Last November, I reported on the recent Fraser Institute study, which compared the cost and performance of 30 OECD countries with universal healthcare systems, including Canada. The OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, is a group of 37 nations which ostensibly collaborate to develop policy standards to promote sustainable growth. The report showed that Canada spends the most on healthcare as a percentage of gross domestic product, but only the 8th highest per capita, and that we rank last or next to last for almost every meaningful measure of actual healthcare. So along comes Trudeau, offering a generous increase of $46 billion in Canada health transfer payments to the provinces. However, the budget was already at $160 billion before the increase, and that hefty price tag was only just enough to maintain our existing deplorable sick care system. An additional $46 billion adds 30%. Or does it? That increase is spread out over the next 10 years, which means only $4.6 billion per year. But not really, as the money is to be delivered on an increasing scale over the next decade, with the bulk of the money coming later, after Turd will no longer be in power. I'd be willing to bet $46 billion that most of the money will never arrive. In fact, I'm sure of it, as less than $20 billion of the $46 billion total is actually part of the health transfer increase. Most of the rest of the money is being set aside for separate one-on-one deals with each province and territory, where the money will only be provided with strict limitations and requirements, and with Ottawa expecting to be able to dictate exactly when and where the money will be spent. And what additional money there is has to be spread out over 10 provinces and 3 territories. As I've also reported on in the past, Trudeau is holding the premiers hostage on this deal by making the money conditional upon handing over our private health records. In order to access the CHT, provinces must commit to improving how the health data of Canadians is collected and shared to, quote, promote greater transparency on results and to help manage public health emergencies. So it's no wonder that the recently released report from secondstreet.org titled Canada Waits shows that a significant number of Canadians won't live long enough for even that deal to save them. The report, published January 30th, shows that over 3,194,000 Canadians are currently on waiting lists for surgery, diagnostics, and specialist consultations. That's 8.1% of the population, or almost 1 Canadian in every 12. But it gets worse. The data provided by governments is incomplete, as most provinces do not have estimates on the number of patients waiting to see a specialist. Further, some don't know how many patients are waiting for diagnostic scans. Using cautious estimates to fill in these gaps, secondstreet.org estimates the true number of patients who are waiting for the 3 services to be 3.8 million, or 9.7% of the population. In short, almost 1 out of every 10 Canadians is waiting for treatment in the most expensive health care system out of 30 OECD countries. In addition, the Second Street study shows the increase in wait times since 1993. The largest jump appears at first glance to be from 2000 to 2007, when wait times increased by 1.3 weeks per year. Until we do some math. The jump from 2019 to 2022, an increase from 22.6 weeks to 27.4 weeks, equals 1.6 weeks per year, or 23% higher per year than the 2000 to 2007 increase. Now I wonder what could have been happening in our healthcare system during that time that might have caused that. Then, of course, there's the over 41,000 people who have died since late 2018 waiting for treatment. Granted, some of those people died of old age. But at the rate this is going, 30-year-olds waiting for treatment are going to die of old age before they get it. And it's going to get worse. Much worse. As you know, the International Health Treaty is coming at latest by next year, and possibly sooner. I've reported extensively on that in the past, so I won't go over old ground. What I will do is show you that it is in fact already being implemented in countries around the world, most noticeably by our next door neighbors. Well, and us. This past week, Dr. Joseph Mercola revealed that a new bill proposed in the US could give the US Food and Drug Administration the power to ban off-label use of approved medications, like ivermectin. Not discouraged or censored, banned, like it is here in Canada already, for all intents and purposes. The bill would essentially give the FDA the power to determine patient treatment and restrict doctors' ability to freely treat patients and the patient's ability to use all available treatments, like the colleges do here in Canada already. In California, Law AB 2098, which went into effect January 1st, gives the state power to take away doctors' medical licenses if they spread disinformation that goes against the standard COVID-19 rhetoric, like Bill 36 does in British Columbia already. Just in case you were still in any doubt that Canada is leading the way in medical tyranny and their single-minded pursuit of robbing us all of our bodily autonomy, but someone is fighting back. Independent MLA John Rustad introduced a petition in the legislature asking the BC government to repeal Bill 36. Rustad's petition amassed almost 11,000 signatures. The reason why MLA Rustad sits as an independent is because he was booted by the Liberals last year for daring to make social media posts exposing the truth about man-made global warming. You may remember that not long ago I reported on former global warming advocate Tom Harris, who gained attention when he went on Fox News and called global warming a scam. I've contacted Mr. Harris, who now runs the International Climate Science Coalition, an organization revealing the truth about global warming. He's agreed to an interview, or two. Mr. Harris is currently very busy, but we have scheduled the interviews to take place in early March. I expect we'll have them ready for viewing and sharing with your warm Kool-Aid drinking associates by the middle of next month. This is one of those stories that sounds like it should be science fiction. Unfortunately, it's supported by provable facts, and all the required tech already exists. Many of you are wary of 5G, and I know some people who say they suffer symptoms when exposed to the high-frequency signals. I personally do not, but I'm no expert on the subject, so I will take their claims at face value. I'm not wanting to spread fear with this. I bring you the truth, specifically to counter fear. So here are the facts. 5G is nothing more than a very high-frequency radio wave. The problem with moving to yet higher frequencies is that as frequency increases, range diminishes. If you have a 5G router in your basement, you may have trouble connecting to it on the floor above. So radio waves are not an option for 6G. The range would be so short, it would be effectively useless. There is as yet no consensus on how 6G will work, but the goal is even faster wireless transmission of data. The lack of consensus doesn't seem to bother China, though. In 2020, they claim to have launched the world's first 6G satellite, despite the fact that the rest of the world hasn't even decided yet what 6G is. One proposal is that 6G would incorporate visible light communication, or VLC, basically a wireless version of fiber optics that uses flashes of light to transmit information. LED bulbs would transmit data, and anything with a camera, like our smartphones, tablets, or laptops, could be the receiver. The downside of VLC comes from a high rate of leakage of energy, with the emitting of side-channel radio wave signals. Researchers believe that if they can harvest the wasted radio frequency energy, they can put it to good use by powering small electronic devices. After experimenting with wires, coils, and backgrounds, the scientists realized the human body offers the best medium, up to 10 times better than any other setting tested, for amplifying a copper coil's ability to collect leaked RF energy. So they built the Bracelet Plus, an inexpensive gadget that is meant to be worn on the forearm, but could also be a ring, belt, or necklace to harvest the lost energy. The coiled copper bracelet plus can generate microwatts of electricity. Doesn't sound like much. What could we do with harvested microwatts? And here's the part that set off my increasingly paranoid alarm bells. Those microwatts would be enough to support on-body health monitoring sensors, say sensors built into a bracelet, which could then transmit biological information on the wearer anytime the bracelet transmitted data. And wouldn't these bracelets be an oh so convenient way for people to submit their digital IDs? Just wave your bracelet over a scanner to board an airplane, enter a movie theater, or buy groceries. Social credit account automatically debited, and your up-to-the-minute vitals transmitted at the same time. And if you show an elevated heart rate or slightly elevated temperature, access denied. And it's off to the clinic for your next mRNA shot before your social credit account will be unlocked. And the technology for all of that already exists. In my shortest but possibly most important story this week, our new Speaker's Corner at strongandfreecanada.org is being well received. We got quite a few submissions to our first question: what do you think is the greatest threat currently facing our country? And those submissions are now being edited and will be released shortly to our social media channels. Our new question, posted just this week, is: when did the COVID narrative begin to unravel for you? You can submit your own thoughts by going to the Speaker's Corner at strongandfreecanada.org. Canada is supposed to be a democracy where everyone's voice counts. Help us make it one by having your say. Go to strongandfreecanada.org and click the Speaker's Corner button. All you need is the camera and microphone on your laptop or phone and an opinion to share with your fellow Canadians. Our editors will put your comments along with others into a video which we will publish to our social media channels. Comments may be edited for time, but we absolutely do not censor. Tell us what you think. Do be sure to submit the form after recording your video. If you don't click submit, we can't connect your name and province to your recording, so we can't use it. That's all for this week's free version of the Iron Will Report. In the members version, available with a 15-day free trial at ironwillreport.com, 2 stories that would get us banned if I publish them on YouTube. The WHO is already calling for greater surveillance of who is and is not vaxxed prior to the upcoming World Health Treaty, and an admission from Moderna CEO Stéphane Bancel that Moderna was already manufacturing vaccines in 2019, before the pandemic was ever announced. Also, Canadians are borrowing money to buy groceries despite the lowest unemployment rate in history. The final scientific nails in the coffin of using masks to prevent the spread of a virus. Criticizing Trudeau nearly costs an Australian man his Canadian citizenship. A Pulitzer Prize-winning retired journalist reveals the culprit behind the Nordstream pipeline attacks and the motivation for it. Telegram encrypted transmissions are not as secure as we've been told. England's Whitehall goes gender fluid, and is Luke Skywalker gay? Interviews coming up this week: John Carpe on the book 7 Inalienable Rights, a history of how the English fought the tyranny of the kings and how it relates to our situation today. And Greg Hill of Free to Fly on the government relaxing physical checkup requirements for pilots, but also why you probably shouldn't be afraid to fly anyway. Memberships at ironwillreport.com are just $9.95 per month and give access to my full weekly news reports, as well as exclusive interviews with experts and whistleblowers. Get the truth that mainstream media won't report and our government doesn't want you to hear.